Yes, Gunner?
Did you enjoy the astounding feat of AJ retaining her Divas Championship over 13 other women?
You know, actually, I was fine with that because aside from maybe Natty or Tamina, who really deserves it?
21-1, Brody. 21-1.
Fuck you! I hope you fucking burn in a fire, you bastard! I'm gonna go to Brock Lesnar's house and I'm gonna fucking spread gasoline everywhere and I'm gonna set it on fire and I'm gonna piss on the flames, but not put it out because
We can roll isolated, no laughing loud of the in fact you're wrong, to track down low. You'll be good at laughing silence if you only listen to get serious. Oh, get serious. Oh, get serious.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode number 113 of Wooo Get Serious. My name is Gunner. That is Omega BR.
Truly, Brock Lesnar is the one in 21 and 1 match a year.
Truly, and Yanka DDS, our wonderful technical producer, is currently having mic troubles, so he probably won't be able to talk during this entire thing.
So, he ain't quite that wonderful now, is he?
No, I don't think so. You have to keep your microphone, up in working order once you actually do a show. Not like I know anything about that or anything. Anyway, so it was WrestleMania, and, not terribly important things happen. But we'll get to the news. WrestleMania 30 broke the record for Mercedes-Benz Superdome's hired wrestling entertainment event. Reddit guy Dolphin1925 claimed that Triple H would beat Daniel Bryan, Alexander Rusev would win the Battle Royal, Undertaker would extend the streak, and Randy Orton would win the main event. This is a source never got back to him, and that he has no faith in his predictions anymore. I would not be surprised by that. WWE tried to block unauthorized sales of merchandise and wallets, but the judge denied the request, stating that WWE had no specific defendants or named any information on who they might be. WWE has announced 667,287 subscribers to the WWE Network, which is approximately 2/3 of the way to their 1 million solvency goal. Once they reach 1 million, they can actually be solvent. And this is a surprise to many who thought they would actually have been closer to their target of 1 million. Stock took a hit afterwards, going as low as $21.73 from $27.04.
Yes, probably about what a lot of analysts sort of expected, as far as just how many they would get in the beginning anyway. I mean, it's still a very respectable number, all things considered. Certainly you would believe they would hit 1 million once the network. Remember, it's only available in America and everything, so once it hits Canada, the UK, other places internationally at the end of the year, or by the end of the year. So, obviously they would have been ecstatic to hear it was much, much closer, but I think realistically, when you look at all the factors, that's probably about as decent a number as they could have expected.
From what I understand, they were happy with the number that was going to come out, and this seems like they're 2/3 of the way there, and that's something. But this is going to require a little more finagling than just that. Maybe dropping the 6-month agreement, perhaps. But sitting here seeing this number, it's like, yeah, it's a good start, and yeah, I mean this is I mean, it was overhyped to begin with, but it's right to where it should be. And I think that after this entire WrestleMania, I think that the theme of everything is everything's to where it should be.
I've actually heard that they might consider a price increase starting next year from up to $10 or $11.99 to help kind of offset this kind of thing, if the trend continues this way, you know.
Do you think they'll crack $1 million?
I think they will eventually, like I said, with the international buys. But the thing of it is, you know, if you spend $100, if you bet $100 on something and you win $102, then you know you won, but you only won $2. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of how some of the WrestleMania betting goes, but
oh god, that was ridiculous.
Yes. Anyway, let's. We didn't really get a chance to talk about TNA too seriously last week because of WrestleMania and all. And while the biggest wrestling company in the world was having their biggest event, let's see what TNA was up to, shall we?
Oh boy.
Jeff Jarrett, who is not a part of TNA, did finally officially announce his new promotion, which is Global Force Wrestling, which they claim will have a global presence, and that over 400 performers have contacted them for. It seems their goal is to be the new number 2 in wrestling, and of course, why wouldn't it be? No word on anything else, any potential dates or events, or even if Toby Keith is in fact involved, but I will say that logo is something straight out of the 90s.
The name is not my favorite. The look is NWA-ish. What do you expect out of a Jarrett? I mean, really? I mean, you should be sitting here thinking that, you know, we'll be surprised, but basically it's, you know, Smoky Mountain and USWA all rebooted again over and over
itself.
again. Yeah. I mean, the only reason TNA...
stop action.
I mean, the only reason TNA is because, you know, the Jarretts. And, like, it's just promotion after promotion after promotion that just keeps coming up and, you know, keeps doing things. And I can see them taking a bite out of TNA's talent as long as they have a television show to back themselves up. And they don't go, you know, oh, we're just going to release stuff online and everything will be okay. I think they have more money into that than just, like, you know, than maybe ROH or something like that, because I can see them finding a nice niche between ROH and TNA, but it would depend on the wrestling product and how actually good it was.
Yeah, it all depends on the talent, and one of the reasons TNA did flourish is because it did essentially fill the gap left by WCW, and who knows, this GFW could fill the gap that's sort of left by some of the floundering performances of TNA, Ring of Honor, etc. So time will tell. But in actual TNA news, they announced that the new Hall of Fame inductee will occur at the June Slammiversary pay-per-view, or they will reveal him anyway. X-Division champ Sonata will defend the title at the Wrestle 1 event on April 17th against Daniels, suggesting Daniels may have re-signed with TNA, and you will never believe who the new member of the TNA creative team is. It is, in fact, one Christy Hemme.
I think she only joined the TNA creative team to get rid of the stalker character that she's currently going through.
I mean, she can't do any worse than... I mean, you know.
I wouldn't go there, how are you? But if she's doing a women's thing, I mean, you know, maybe she's doing something with the women's division. That'd be kind of cool. But, yeah, that's weird.
Oh,
Okay, I was going to wait until I got half of my double quarter pounder with cheese in me at least before I said anything. But Christy Hemme as a part of a TNA Creative sounds like an absolute smash. I mean, we've seen that TNA in the past will take anything harebrained, half-assed, whatever you can. So why not have more of that? It'll work. Let's just wait and see where this goes, guys.
But that's a whole half a pound.
Jesus Christ, Jester, how much meat can you fit in your mouth? That Jester's meat floating around. We got our good friend Ned Jester here with us now. All right, let's move on. The Undertaker was taken to the hospital due to a concussion and a possible neck injury following his match. Vince McMahon rode with him, missing the main event. The match went exactly as planned, as believed Undertaker wanted Lesnar to be the one to end the streak. Many fans were stunned, some crying, some leaving after the match. Billy Gunn sustained hemolysis after taking the powerbomb from the Shield. Christian was not in the Andre Battle Royale due to the concussion he sustained weeks back, and Cameron got her top unhooked and rolled out of the ring until the match was over. Brie Bella said she wasn't allowed to celebrate with Daniel Bryan and his niece and sister. That's not terribly surprising, considering that they're a relationship as opposed to family at this point. Maybe if she was his wife right now, then that would be a different point. But
well, they're actually
getting
married on Friday, I believe.
Oh, really? Wow. Good for them. Yeah, I mean, this is some WrestleMania backlash here. The Undertaker thing, I think everybody would agree that it was probably the most shocking thing we've witnessed in a very, very, very long time.
Well, when you've got Jon Stewart from The Daily Show tripping his shit that it was the wrong thing to do, you kind of know where professional wrestling fandom is going with this.
Jon Stewart, is that right?
That's right. He had a little mini fit just before his show ended on Monday.
I'll have to look that up.
Of course, this being Jon Stewart, we don't know if he was actually angry or playing it for laughs, but damn, he looked like it for about 2 seconds.
Well, we can talk about this when we talk about the actual match, but I think, the streak is more or less the most important thing WWE had going, treating it with as much seriousness as, even their top titles or anything else, really. I mean, so to see it end in such a manner is pretty jarring, but now we always had, in the back of your mind, you always have that thought that, Taker's not getting any younger, and sooner or later,
I've got a lot more to say about this, but I'll wait until the 15-minute.
And where's Cameron's top getting unhooked? A devious backstabbing move? I guess we'll all have to watch Total Divas to find out.
Oh my god, she gave the costume designer the girl bye.
Speaking of girl bye, with Sean clearly going back to human resources, leaving the post he took up after Jane Geddes left, Triple H is now personally handling all the talent payroll, which he's not expected to do for long, as it is a very time-consuming process. Batista had an interview with the Washington Post claiming he actually tried to warn WWE about bringing him back as a face, saying that it would only last about 2 minutes, and lo and behold, he was right, because the crowd hated him. In response to crowds hijacking events, he said that if fans want to be part of the show so badly, they should go to a wrestling school like he did.
Oh yeah, Batista? Prove it.
Did he actually go to a wrestling school, or was he an OVW?
Yes, he went to wrestling school. Here's the thing with what Dave's saying that I completely and totally 100% agree with him on a certain level, because at the same time that we're all trying to sit here and, quote, hijack the show, it gets to a point where you go a little too far with the show, and you decide that you are going to disrespect, like, at the points in the matches where, like, when they're chanting JBL, Michael Cole, and King, when they're getting to that point where they're bored with the match and just completely shitting on everyone else that's involved in the match, including the referee, the ring announcer, and anybody else that is currently out and performing for, you know, the crowd, yeah, I mean, I could totally understand where Dave would come up and say this. If you really want to do something different and you want to make a change in this business, you have to be that 1 in a million person to be able to make it through wrestling school, acquire a WWE contract, and make it into an influential position in the WWE to be able to sit there and change people's minds. So if you're willing to do that, I mean, go ahead, you know, take swing, but otherwise, there's a point where you're writing checks your ass can't cash, basically.
Okay, comedy mode off for 2 seconds. I gotta just put this on the floor. Weren't we saying the Raw at WrestleMania last year the exact opposite thing? Like things were just so bad that the smarky crowd had to hijack it in order to just begin to tell WWE that there might be a problem, and you better take care of it, or else we're going to take matters into our own hand.
Here's the difference. There's a part of it that's perfectly fine and Dave's wrong. There's a part of it that Dave is right. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I think there's a difference between, you know, having an impact on the show through feedback and encouragement and everything, and actually hijacking the show. Now, let's say, I mean, you know, I think the actual crowd feedback, and there's strength in numbers too, I think that part of it is part of the reason why Daniel Bryan's our new world champion right now. But in terms of an actual hijack, quote unquote, I think, you know, let's say it's a random tag title match between the Usos and Batista and Randy Orton, and the crowd starts, cycling through different chants, you know. That kind of thing might not be as appropriate.
Yeah, it's just not the right thing to do. Let's see here.
Well, I think it gets to a point where, you know, you kind of... There is a point where the crowd will sort of chant just to chant, you know. Even if it's... Like, you know, people were chanting along Real Americans before they kind of became... Well, you know, more likable, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Hell, they were singing the Real Americans theme song last night.
Yeah, they were.
I guess what I'm saying is, in general, there's a, you know, you can't have this attitude like the crowd is against you and you can't listen to them, but at some point it doesn't become appropriate for the crowd to keep doing it if things have changed, I guess, you know.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, because
which to their credit, they have made an effort here.
Right. Alright, last thing, a couple random notes here. WWE has released 2 albums, including music of WCW. They have also a new set of body condensing tops with Under Armour. Wonder what that was 10 years ago when Shelton Benjamin was supposed to be, you know, the spokesperson for Under Armour. Jesus fucking Christ, that makes me so mad. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling nearly shut down after Christmas, but a local businessman stepped in and wanted to be a partner, securing the company and a weekly TV deal. Jerry Lawler is looking to sell the Memphis Wrestling tape library to WWE, having just about straightened out the legal issues. That'd be pretty fucking sweet. The Memphis tape library? Oh my god.
I'd like to see that on the network. Of course, I'd like to see Smokey Mountain on the network as well, as well as, I don't know, like Nitro, old episodes of Raw, more of the AWA, more of the WCCW library.
Stampede.
Oh yeah, and they own Stampede as well.
But I haven't taken the dive on the network just quite yet. I'm probably soon.
I actually looked at those Under Armour. Just a lot of the designs are not very appealing.
Oh really?
I mean, they don't really flow into the... You know how it's one thing to have a t-shirt and have a logo on it, but it's another to have a workout shirt that is supposed to be showing off your definition or compressing it or whatever. And then there's just a big logo on the front, It just doesn't quite gel,
Fashion advice from Mega BR, ladies and gentlemen.
I wonder
and
how...
by the way, orange is out and green is in.
I don't know, the Hulkamania one doesn't look bad.
Thank you, fashion guru. Jeez. I wonder how Haystack Calhoun would have looked in a compression top.
Jeez, we're gonna move on.
The WWE Championship one looks okay. Because it's just the title around the waist,
I don't know, the Stone Cold one isn't really bad either. It just looks like a tight t-shirt.
Well, I mean, like the
ones are
CM
awful,
Punk one,
though.
where they chose that big oval logo that's right in the center of the chest.
Yeah,
It's not, it doesn't...
The Macho Man. It's not flattering.
If they had gone with his fist and lightning bolt logo like a superhero, that would look good. But the big giant CM Punk and block, that doesn't look good.
Okay. Enough of that, because holy crap, that was a little more involved than I thought we were going to get with Under Armour. Okay. So that's it for the news, and now we're going to get into our 15-minute time limit. This week we're talking about Japan? No, WrestleMania, of course. We're going to talk about WrestleMania and the show that was, and potentially the Hall of Fame ceremony. Okay, so I would like to start with pretty much, I'm not going to even structure this by the matches that we saw, but I would like to hear what you guys really want to talk about coming out of WrestleMania.
Well, really, the Macho Man one doesn't look bad either. Because it's just like his t-shirt.
No.
I should have thought of that. Well, the marquee thing on the list that has everybody up in arms, this was a really great show, except for one match, a lot of people think. So we need to address that elephant in the room right now.
No, that goes in the overtime. You talk about what's in the format.
Oh, there's a format? Hang on, let me bring that up.
Oh, you fucking...
Well,
there's a format every week.
Let's take just 1 minute, shall we? Just while we're getting started here, about the Hall of Fame. Did anybody watch the Hall of Fame live?
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Good show.
I did not get a chance to see it.
The Hall of Fame was quite good. I would highly recommend... The Hall of Fame is usually a not-miss kind of thing, because it's a super snarky crowd with pretty much all the boys sitting on the floor and a bunch of people being inducted, telling stories and whatnot. I think the most profound speech that was given that night was beyond Jake and DDT was Scott Hall. His catchphrase at the end really, really, really was awesome.
Well,
It resonated, yeah.
Yeah, the most poignant for me was, in fact, Roberts, because he was very genuine, and it really did kind of feel like he was just saying things off the top of his head, which was really basically admitting what a failure he had become, and how he kind of, was given another chance, basically. And it's true, really, because he brought up the fans and DDP and the whole Indiegogo thing and the fact that they funded his surgery. And I think, if nothing else, it serves as kind of a reminder to anybody particularly the people in the crowd on the floor, not to let those things affect your life, because that's, not everybody gets a second chance, which he also brought up. And he was, for a time, he was jealous of all the guys who were, in those, another dead wrestler articles.
Yep, it was a redemption story, and that's what people really like, a redemption story where you may not be at the top of the mountain on the end, but you're sure as hell better off than you were.
Warrior's still pretty weird. Now that I didn't really think about it at the time, but now that I go back and remember what he said, it was like, yeah, I am a good person, I am a legend.
Well,
it's like sitting there and confirming, everything that he said, and I promise I said I wasn't going to say those 2 words. Self-destruct.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I can't really blame him, because that was just, the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD. That was a hit piece, plain and simple, and maybe he needed to get that off of his chest in public, but, it didn't take away from any of the other stuff that he said, I thought.
I don't find him to be a bad guy or anything. I just, he did kind of live up to his reputation as sort of a weirdie, that's all. And
Yeah.
too.
Oh, that's nothing. You should have seen him on Raw Monday. Oh, God.
Mr. T and his mama.
Oh, that's the other one. They chased poor Mr. T off the stage. And I didn't think he went any longer than anybody else.
I think the point was he wasn't talking about wrestling. That was the main thing. He hadn't said a word about WrestleMania or anything.
Any other points you'd like to... Yeah, any other points you guys like to bring up about the Hall of Fame? Because we're going to jump into WrestleMania here in a second.
For a second, I thought the girls that brought Warrior out were Triple H's kids.
Oh. I tell you, if they're anything like their dad, those 2 kids might be the saviors of the Ultimate Warrior's daughters, might be the saviors of the Divas division in 10 years.
I wouldn't be terribly surprised if we saw Ultimate Warrior's kids going against the Royal Rose. I mean, that wouldn't be terribly surprising to me, but we're moving on here. And also, Kane is awesome, and I want him to run for office.
Quick shout out to Lita.
Alright, so let's start here. Usos retain the tag titles. This match was okay.
Yep.
The Shield defeating the Authority. That was...
Squash.
It was a squash, but it's a hell of a...
There's always got to be one. There's always got to be one.
It was quick. It was nice. It got him over. The Shield's face masks are pretty cool. They're playing a little too much COD, in my opinion. But that's besides the point.
Bullet Club! Bullet Club!
Cesaro wins the Andre Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I marked the fuck out.
Who didn't? He freaking... It was basically a repeat of Hulk Hogan picking up Andre the Giant and slamming him. Is how Cesaro got Big Show out of the ring. That was a classic moment right there.
Until the finer points of the match when, the 5 or so people you thought, the only 5 or so people you thought had a chance to win anyway were left in the ring. The match really had pre-show written all over it. But it was a big moment. It was a big
huge moment.
Yeah.
And that fucking trophy was huge. John Cena defeated Bray Wyatt in a great match. In a great match for them.
That match was actually better than I thought it was going to be.
Way better.
It was pretty much what I expected, which is to say a decent match, yeah. I think, really, we're not dealing with the Bray Wyatt we had, 6 months ago when the Wyatts were sort of just floundering and they didn't have a direction or anything. I think they've really, ever since that Royal Rumble match, they've really come into their own as far as, the ability to craft a decent in-ring story. And Cena certainly did his part as well. Of course, Cena won, which again, you kind of... There's always that one, too, the one where you think, well, let's have let's have CM Punk beat Rey Mysterio so he actually has to join the Straight Edge Society. No, let's have Rey win. That kind of thing.
So you remember a couple of years ago when Kane finally got back from a hiatus and had the double face mask? For a brief period of time, he was playing Emperor Palpatine to John Cena's Anakin Skywalker. And having Bray Wyatt almost semi-crucify himself out there and wanting to be shoved in by the Sword of Damocles, or which is a chair shot from John Cena. They're pushing all this that Cena is the hero a little bit too far. I mean, they've done that ever since Cena. They pushed him. He began making a name for himself, but this just almost was a parody in those two segments where Bray wanted Cena to hit him with a chair.
I wanted Cena to hit him with the chair. I wanted Cena to lose his shit. And
we will never have a Cena heel turn.
He doesn't have to turn heel. He just has to. That's something you never see Cena do. Is like he always gets pushed and he always overcomes, but it seems like nobody ever pushes him that one step too far. That one, pushes him to that place where he really will do anything to put down the threat. He always. Go ahead, Omega.
It's kind of like the Joker trying to tempt Batman into finally killing him.
Yeah.
It is, but at the same time, there's going to be a point where, I mean, let's put it this way. Anything can happen in wrestling, and we forgot that this particular WrestleMania. And I think that a whole lot of us forgot that, and when we forget that, stuff like Undertaker's streak being broken happens. So,
well, my only beef with the Cena-Wyatt match, it's a good story, it's just they hadn't really brought it up very much until this match where the announcers were really selling it, that Cena was being tempted and everything. They didn't push it as hard as they could have before the event. But I'm sure they'll continue to push it with, a rematch at Extreme Rules or whatever.
Right. Anybody else impressed? Anybody else impressed by the Divas match? I mean, like, it was pretty good, and like getting him on the top of the show.
It is about as good as a 14 Diva single fall match can be, which is to say, nobody broke anything,
Yeah, well, it was exactly that. It was the absolute best that a 14 Diva match could possibly be.
2 lines of finisher spam. I shit you not. 2 lines of finisher spam.
Pretty much.
Alright, so we've got about 4 minutes left.
Do we?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay, fine.
Yeah. So, you want to do Lesnar, Undertaker?
Alright. Lesnar, Undertaker. I'm going to say something controversial. I completely agree with the decision made here.
Because?
At the end of the day, Undertaker has to be beaten. And while I wanted it to be Punk last year, and I called it for Punk being last year, and I was begging for Punk to do it last year because he would have done it last year. He was the guy to do it. It would have made him. But to sit here and to say that an old Undertaker could not defeat the former UFC, NCAA, and WWE undisputed heavyweight champion, that would go to say that we totally suspended our disbelief so much that we've built up this streak. Now remember, this streak only started really for people to pay attention to at WrestleMania 21. And back then, it was just kind of a thing. It was like, hey, wait a minute, he beat this person. He's undefeated at WrestleMania. Go figure. It wasn't until they started doing the HBK shit that they really started pushing the streak as something big. And what they did was they got us all attached. They got us all emotionally invested in the streak with amazing matches from Shawn Michaels and from CM Punk and Triple H, God forbid, to build up this streak, to sit there and say, well, when it's time for Taker to go, he'll lose. And he did. Now, to sit here and say that he won't have a match with Sting next year is complete tomfoolery. He will more than likely have a match with Sting next year, and I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Sting didn't make an appearance until SummerSlam. But that's besides the point. Brock Lesnar is right now the baddest motherfucker in that organization. Badder than Bryan, badder than Triple H, badder than anybody else in the back room there. So if you want to beat somebody, you beat Lesnar. And eventually, as everybody's seeing the obvious connections here, I foresee a Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar, WWE World Heavyweight Championship program in your immediate future. Enjoy.
Dude, jeez. How much time we got, Yankum?
We got about a minute and 40 seconds, so real quick, Gunner, let me just say that you're a big fat fail turtle, and you're wrong.
No,
Wrong.
Except, of course, for fail turtle.
You're wrong.
All right, we'll get into that later, but we've got more to say, yes.
Well, here's the thing. There's no reason that Undertaker couldn't have beat Brock Lesnar because he is a living corpse, and he can just pop up anytime, except for when he has a really bad concussion.
Talking about him or Lesnar? I'm still not entirely
Taker.
sure we're not talking about Lesnar when
There's
we're
no
talking
reason.
about corpse.
They could have kept the streak. They could have. There's no reason that Undertaker couldn't have pulled out one more. Because one thing that is a constant in wrestling is the meme of the wily veteran. And if anyone is a wily veteran, it's Taker. I don't like this. I really don't. I think they should have left the streak alone. And
I think that they're damned if they do, damned if you do, damned if you don't. To be completely honest with you.
Okay, we'll get into all the conspiracy theories about this not being the actual ending that was supposed to happen later. How much time we got left?
5 seconds. Alright. So that is it for the first... Excuse me, all this RC is getting to me. The first half of the show, we will be right back with segment 3, the kayfabe issues, and overtime, where we will discuss Daniel Bryan versus Triple H and the subsequent three-way that resulted from that match.